Hi, this is Splatter Shop. Today we will be unboxing and reviewing Home Depot's 2024 Plague Doctor. Okay, let's go over the parts. First we have the satchel, the costume, the hand with the lantern. This is the arm that connects to that one, the hand with the lantern. This is all one piece. It's actually an arm and the hand. The boots, the base, which is actually a two-piecer, the top of the staff, the torso with the control box, the legs, the power adapter, cotter pins, the head, and the mid and lower part of the staff. Okay, so the first step is the base, like it usually is. So it is a two-piece. You're going to snap B, which is this side, into A, which is the other side. And you'll probably notice on this base, there's this little thing here. And I noticed on other videos, people are kind of confused as to what that is. We are early in this video, but I'm going to guess that that's probably for the staff. And I will actually tell you if that is what it is later on in the video. So you're going to turn the base around. You're going to have that little piece I was talking about that I think is for the staff. You're going to actually have that up front. And you're going to put the boots on first. It doesn't matter which one goes where. They're both labeled C. Next, you're going to attach the leg poles facing the animatronic. D is going to go on the left side, and E is going to go on the right. After you've gotten the legs on, the next thing you're going to do is take his costume, and you're going to pull it over the legs. Now, one thing that's really important is on the back of the costume, there's Velcro that opens up. You have to do that. You have to open it up before you slide this over the two poles. Next, you're going to take F, which is actually the torso with the control box, and you're going to snap it in on both sides of the legs. Once you've got the torso connected with the control box done, the next step is you're going to take the rest of his costume and you're going to pull it up and over the shoulders on both sides. So the next thing you're going to do is attach his right arm. And it actually comes in two pieces. You're going to slide the first piece up the sleeve, and you're going to connect it right through this bracket that's on the side of the shoulder. And once it goes through, you're going to put a cotter pin through that one. Now, I already have it covered, but I can show you that the second half is actually, it's the glove, and you're going to slide it through this bracket and use another cotter pin. And then you're going to pull your sleeve up and over, kind of like how I had it before, around this rim. Oh, and also make sure that you have your wires connected. There's a wire on both pieces, and you have to connect them together. Once you've got the right arm done, you're doing the left arm next. It's a little bit more trickier. It's a one piece, and it is heavy. What makes it a little bit more difficult is that trying to get it to go through the sleeves when you first start, yeah, holding up all the weight. Eventually what I did was I just went through the back, stuck my arm down the sleeve hole, grabbed it, and pulled it through that way. So once you've got the arm through, just like the right arm, you're going to go right here and slip it into this bracket. And once again, you're going to need a cotter pin. Okay, now that we have both arms attached, I'm going to tell you what wires I've already connected. The first one was the sensor that comes off the front of the costume. You're going to connect it. And then you're going to connect the wire that comes off the right arm. It's real simple. Now this other wire, the red one, you have to be really careful about how you plug it in so everything is aligned correctly. There are actually two arrows and they have to be pointing to each other when you snap it together. All right, the next step is you're going to connect the top of the staff together. You're going to take these two wires. Once again, you need to look for the two arrows before snapping them together, and then you're going to screw it on. So you take the top of the staff, and what you do is there's a little hole here. You want to push your wires back, the ones I just told you to connect, and you're going to stick it into two notches, and you're going to turn it, and it will snap into place. Okay, so after that, you're going to take the rest of the staff, which is part M and part N, and same thing, there's a hole with a notch in it. You're going to press them together and then twist it. And then it becomes one piece. So the next step is you're going to raise your arm up and you're going to take these lower pieces of the staff, the M and N, and you're going to connect it to the upper part of the staff. Once again, there's a hole with a notch. You're going to stick it up in there, twist it. And then I was correct about that little knob that was up front here. The bottom of the staff is actually going to slide into it. And that's what keeps the staff in place when he's thrusting it forward is the little knob at the bottom. The final piece is the head. You're going to slide it right through the collar. Just kind of like the arms. I know it's kind of hard to see up in here, but there is a bracket. You're going to slide those two pins down right through the bracket. And then you have two wires to connect. Also kind of hard to see here. Let's see if I can find them. Okay, now the first one you're going to find on the inside of the costume, and you're going to just click it in. The other one is actually located on the front, and it's what turns these lights on. And you're going to slip it through the collar, and you're going to connect it, which is right here. One thing you want to do before the final step, which is hooking up the power adapter, is you want to go around this hat and kind of form it. I don't have a ladder, so I tried to do the best I could on my tippy toes. The other thing is putting his satchel on. There is actually some Velcro on his shoulder for the satchel to hold it in place. Okay, now we're nearing the finish line. So you're going to hook up your power adapter, and then you're going to Velcro up the back together. Okay, it's time to plug in the power adapter. Fire this guy up.
The pestilence is here. I can sense it. my duty to rid the world of it. Bring me your wounded.
Okay, let's see him in the dark. It looks amazing in the dark.
This lavender in my mask is barely covering your stench. Bring me the leeches. It is time to cure you of your ailments. It is too late. Another name in the death toll. What is your last wish?
Okay, it's time to review this guy. Let's go over the pros. Right off the bat, the lighting on this thing is amazing. Without a doubt, the best animatronic lighting I've seen on anything that's came out this year. The lantern, the neon lights along the mask, the goggles, of course, the collar, and the staff. They're all amazing when they're all lit up. Secondly, the costume quality, very top notch. This looks like leather almost on around the collar and the hat. Just even the detail on the minor things like the gloves and the staff and the mask itself. It's all great. It looks really amazing in person. Now, let's move on to the cons. Right off the bat, I'm not too overly impressed with some of the movement. The waist turning side to side, the head turning side to side. It's just very generic SVI looking. Like, you know, we've seen it on several animatronics. The only thing that I think that really saves this animatronic as far as the animation goes is the staff, of course, which he thrusts forward in front of him. But another complaint that I have, and probably the biggest one, is that the mechanisms are extremely loud. If you've watched my review of Michael Myers, the 2024 one that came from Spirit Halloween, that was a complaint I had with him. And this guy is actually worse than Michael Myers. His mechanisms are so loud that I'm actually kind of concerned about how long he will last, because it really sounds like everything inside there is overworking. And speaking of overworking, my next complaint is that this guy actually appeared to be defective when I first tried to plug him in. He would not work. I'm actually going to go in the back and show you what was going on with him. Okay, I've opened up the back, and what I noticed here is we have this little motor right here. And when I first started up, it sounded like it was like not turning, like it was having trouble turning. And actually what it is that there's this metal rod here that actually leads to the arm, and this motor turns, and this comes around and pushes this rod. And this rod is actually what causes his arm with the staff to thrust. And what I noticed off the bat was when he was setting himself, it was like the motor didn't have the strength to push the rod through. And that was really concerning, considering he was brand new. So I actually had to move the rod back by myself, like with my hand, and like kind of moving the arm around. And finally, the motor was able to push it back and reset itself fully. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to keep this guy or not. I actually really like him. I wanted to keep him, If it wasn't for the fact the mechanisms were so loud, and then there was the issue with that rod in the back and the motor, that kind of really like turned me off when that happened. When I saw that and I saw that it was having trouble like pushing it, like the motor moving around, I was like, how long is this whole thing going to last? And that's something to be concerned about, is like, how well built is this? Is it strong enough to last long enough? And I'll be honest with you, that's probably the main reason, if I do return it, is because of the mechanisms. I just don't feel like it's probably going to last very long. And these things are not, very cheap. Granted, this guy was, $200. And I mean, that is a fair price for an animatronic like this. But at the same time, I mean, it should last you a few years if you're taking good care of it. So that, as far as in the end, I think that this guy is pretty amazing. I just really question like how long he will last, and how well built he is. So in the end, I'm kind of mixed on this guy. I'm not quite sure if I could recommend him. I will say that if he did work properly, the mechanisms weren't so loud, and I didn't have to question whether or not they were strong enough to do everything that he's supposed to do, I would definitely recommend him. But because all those things came into play that were cons and I didn't like, I have, he's kind of a mixed bag for me. So I'm not quite sure. Like I said, I may return him, and I might even just replace him. But at the same time, I'm kind of questioning, do I want to? And that's not exactly a good thing. So, it's kind of a disappointment. I mean, I've already, reviewed a few new animatronics this year, and so far I've been pretty pleased with all of them, at least enough to keep them, not have to replace them, or even question if I just didn't want them at all. But this is actually probably the first one that I've ran into. So I'll probably be thinking about that tonight, what I'm going to do with him. But this is the Plague Doctor, and that's an honest review. So thanks for watching my video, and remember to like and subscribe. Goodbye.